Hey guys, it's Jen and I'm back with another collection disconnection video. This is a series where I show you how to take one collection. In my case, I'm using the Crate Paper Wonder collection, which I have in this iris container. I'll make sure to link to that below. I get a lot of questions about that. But I take this one collection and try to show you a bunch of different ways to use it. Today what we're going to do is go kind of obvious with a theme. And it's not the theme of the collection. The collection is a childhood collection, but it has a bunch of these little animals in it. And specifically, there's little cats and little bunnies. And I am going to run with the bunnies and make an Easter page. So this is a picture of my daughter laying in bed, and the night before Easter, she fell asleep with her little Easter bunny headband on, and she had like some chicks surrounding her and just different things, and it was just so cute. I turned on her light and snapped a photo. So I want to scrapbook this photo. So like I said, I am running with the idea of the bunnies, and the bunnies inspired this layout. I knew I had this photo but didn't remember it until I got this collection and saw the bunnies in it. So sometimes you just go with it. I know that people have a little bit of a hard time using these cutesy animals, but I'll show you another layout where I use the cats, and then I'll show you some different ways that you can use the kit in other videos, and make sure that you look back to see how I've used it so far. I'll link to the playlist below. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Okay, so I'm starting by going through the embellishments and deciding what I might be able to incorporate onto this layout. I know for sure that I'm going to use anything that has a bunny on it, so I'm pulling those things out. And then I'm also pulling things out. There are a lot of things that say dream and sweet dreams and stuff like that, and so I'm pulling those things out as well because my daughter is sleeping in her bed. And I also pulled out a little clock which looks like an alarm clock, and I thought that would be perfect also. These little pieces that I'm going through are cut aparts from the 6x6 paper pad, and I also went through the die cuts. I'm pulling out the stickers and the puffy stickers, and now I'm going to go through the papers. So I'm just trying to find something that might work. The color tones in this kit are a little bit more red than the pink in the photo, but I am going to work with it, and you'll see how I incorporate it here in just a second. And I am going to show you in a later video how you can tone down colors to make them work with what you have. So I pulled out this piece from the 6x6 paper pad. It's one of the cut apart sheets. I cut up one and then I left one intact. And as I laid my photo on top of it, I really liked the way that the three little, they're kind of like flashcards looked sitting to the left of the photo. So I'm going to mount my photo on top of that. Before I decide to commit to that, I'm going to get my title done, and I know I want to use the mixed font that comes with this collection, and I'm going to do Easter. And I'm just playing around with the different colors. Each letter has a few different options, and so I'm just trying to decide what option will look the best. I knew I wanted to incorporate some of the yellow and the blue because I have those colors going on in the photo. And now I am just trying to decide which side to mount my photo on. I actually like it pushed to the left because I like the patterns that show on the right when I do that. But it had the bunny on the left, and so I decided to go that way. I am going to mount my photo not on white, so everyone take note because I almost always mount my photo on white, but I'm just going to do a really super thin border of this diagonal striped paper, and it almost looks corrugated, and it's kind of like that peachy reddish pink color, and that's going to help my photo stand out. And now I'm trying to decide what I want the subtitle for my layout to be, and I thought I might use this word hello. It doesn't end up working. I will use that on a layout for sure. I love it, but it hasn't happened yet. So I decide to create the title Easter Dream, and I am going for a bit of a different style than what I usually do, although in a lot of ways it's really similar. I've got a cluster around my photo, and then I'm creating a bar across the bottom for it all to rest on, kind of like a shelf. And I'm going to continue that way. I know I want to cover up the word adventure. It doesn't fit in with the theme and it's bright red, which I don't want. So I just pulled, since there are 2 cut apart sheets, I have one to mount my photo on and then one that's already cut apart so I can use the pieces from that. So I'm going to use the one that says dream with the little moon on it. And then I will eventually decide to switch things up a bit with some of the other pieces as well. So you'll see that in just a second. And I'm just going through the cut apart sheet. What I'm looking for is another one of those cut apart sheets. And I was like, I swear I have one. No, I cut it up. And then the other one I used to mount my photo. So I'm looking for no reason. Oh, there it is. So I was just looking to see if there was another piece that I could cut to lay over that F is for fun. But because I wanted to pop it up, but I found the cut apart, and so I'm going to pop that one up. So the reason that I said earlier that this layout was a little bit different for me is because I'm going to place the title at the top, and usually I would place it next to the photo in the photo cluster, but I'm doing it a little bit differently this time. I want to use a bit of this paper. Eventually this will all change, but I'm starting the way I know how, and that's how I often start my layouts. Is I have my go-to patterns, and this is one of them. So, and I'll make little variations to it as I see fit. So here I'm just trying to decide how I want to place those little pieces I'm going to pop up. I decided to put the F is for fun at the top rather than the bottom. I just liked the way that the yellow looked a little closer to the bottom there. And now I am looking through some of the stickers to see if there's anything on there that I could add. I found the little bunny, and I like the way it looks next to the word dream. And I have another bunny sticker, but I'm trying to decide where to put it. And I will eventually find a home for it, and you'll see here in just a little bit. So again, just going through those stickers to see if there's anything that I want to include. I found this little banner, which I thought would be a cute little place to kind of bring attention to my title, and I felt like I needed something to anchor it to the top so it wasn't just floating there, and so I found that as a good solution. I have these couple die cuts. One says Sweet Dreams and one says Dream. I actually don't end up being able to include either one of them, but I thought I would try both of them because of the theme of my layout. And now I'm outlining those pieces of paper, that patterned paper that I cut up, because I want them to stand out from each other a little bit more. I felt like they were getting lost in each other. Oftentimes, this is maybe what I struggle with the most with using collections, a single collection, is the fact that all of the colors are usually in the same tone. And for me, I like contrast. And so adding that thin pen outline is a good way for me to do that. So here is where I'm deciding to go a little bit of a different direction. I am deciding to make my layers a little bit closer to the photo rather than make it kind of like a shelf. And so I'm going to use that floral paper as my main pop of color, and it doesn't pop. So I outlined them so they would stand out from each other, but then I end up using a pattern that really blends into that cut apart sheet that I've mounted my photo on. And that's just a different kind of look. I do still outline it, so it does stand out a little bit. So I'm just going to layer that floral piece behind my photo. And I like the softness that brings. And the floral really reminds me of sheets, old sheets. And I like that whole subtle, I love little subtle things like that can tie into what I'm talking about. So I tucked in 2 tags up at the top of the photo, and I like the balance that gives. And now I'm going to adhere and commit to these 2 floral pieces on the back of my photo. So I'm using the bottom edge of my paper to line these up to make sure that it's straight, because I cut a piece in half to use for that. And now I'm just trying to decide how I want to layer this up. I'm putting some foam squares on the back of this die cut. These die cuts are really nice and sturdy and thick, and I love it. Part of it rests on top of the photo, but since there are a few layers of paper, I mounted it with some thin foam squares. So here those two tags go in, and I will eventually adhere those. Rather than with string, I will use my tiny attacher, and you'll see that in a minute here. I'm just looking through the stickers again, and then I couldn't decide what I wanted, so now I'm gonna just lay down my title. I'm not pushing those letters down just in case I want to move them, and I'm using that Dream die cut. There's also a sticker that's the same, so I could have used either one. And I didn't notice this the first time, but I found a sticker in the script font that said Dream, and I liked the way that it contrasted with the title, because the title is kind of just a bold font, and then the Dream is a script font, and I like the difference between the two, and also the fact that Dream is in black. So I decided to go with that instead. And I'm bringing a little bit of gold with some label down to the bottom. And I pull out this label. I think I pulled it out on almost every layout that I've created to use, but I don't end up using it. I cut it in half, and I'm just going to stick it back on the sticker sheet because I didn't end up using it. And I had placed that whole cluster a little bit crooked, so I'm just fixing that. And I'm trying to decide where I want to put that gold label. It will go back down at the bottom. So I've got my photo mounted on just a little bit of that bright pink paper, and to bring that, not bright pink, it's like that reddish coral pink, to bring that color up to the top, I am just adding in that little bit of pattern that I was going to use at the bottom originally. And I put a little piece of that floral paper over the top of it, and they're all outlined. There you saw me finally stapling those down. My staple couldn't reach into the small one, so I just put the staples on the tag, and it's not actually stapled to the layout. Now I'm trying to see if there's something I can add to that floral piece up at the top, and you'll see what I decide to do in a little bit here. But I like the way that the bunny rests next to the word Dream. And here I'm going to bring that label back. And like I said, it ends up at right where it is right now. I felt like I needed something to kind of bridge the gap between the clock and that label, so I put in another piece of a label, and I'm going to place the other half of it up at the top, and I like the way that that works in. So this little bunny is on the sticker sheet, and I wanted to incorporate it, but I don't want it to be too close to the other bunny that's just across to the left from it. So now I am pulling up all of these cut aparts that I put to the left of the photo, and I'm going to rearrange them again so the bunny's at the bottom. So now I have a triangle of bunnies, and I like the way that I made that gray bunny go down a little bit lower. It just balanced it better to my eye. So I'm going to just adhere the Dream little card straight to that background, and then the other two are popped up. So really, I could have just used the cards and popped them up next to the photo, but what gave me the idea was laying my photo on top of that cut apart sheet. So sometimes things like that happen. I put a little sticker that said little U, and then I put the bunny above it so it raises it even more, and I like that it brings it diagonal a little bit more. And I used my ruler to rip a little piece of that vellum, and I'm going to lay that over the top of that floral piece, and that just gives me a little bit of gold and a little softness. It's super subtle, and I like it. And now I'm going to go ahead and write my journaling. So I'm using my favorite Muji pen, which I always link to in the information section below the video, as well as over on my blog where I link to all the products that I use. And it is my favorite pen by far. You can get them on Amazon. And just writing about how my daughter fell asleep with these bunny ears on, and I thought it was adorable, and I love that she gets excited about Easter and stuff like that. So I'm going to use my Chamel roller date stamp to stamp the date down at the bottom, and I like the balance that heaviness of the black ink brings down there. And now I'm adding in some gold sequins, and I like that the gold that this brings to it. And I thought that this was where my layout was going to be complete. I'm going to add some I added some staples to the label at the top, and then I added some Boss Lady Mr. Huey's, and that's where I thought I was done. But after I picked it up and looked at it, I decided that I wanted to add a little bit something more. And I remembered I had these stickers that I haven't used very much that have the gold glitter on them that came with this collection. And I'm going to kind of create a confetti line down the left side of the page. So I'll just lay those down, and then I will arrange the sequins so that they kind of follow that line. And I just kind of think it's fun and a different look and something I hadn't done before, and got me to use up some of those stickers. So that is really where my layout will finish off here. So I hope this video has helped you look at your supplies in a bit of a different way. To see the rest of the layouts in this series, be sure to check out the Collection Disconnection playlist on my YouTube channel, which I'll link to below. I'll also link to all available supplies below, as well as over on my blog, which is CraftyJenSchow.com, where I'll have much more information. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.